It was supposed to be a good night. I'd been promoted that morning, finally. After 2 years of late nights, endless deadlines, and being overlooked in favor of louder, flashier guys, someone finally noticed. It wasn't just a title bump, it was validation. I felt proud. Not arrogant, just solid, like I mattered. So I wanted to celebrate naturally, not in some flashy bar, but at home, with people who had been in our lives for over a decade. Our circle, 6 couples, the core crew. We rotated homes, shared stories, got too honest after the second bottle of wine. It was always a good time, comfortable, familiar. I had spent hours prepping the house, making sure everything looked perfect. Candles lit, playlist just right, my best button-down shirt. I even made the damn goat cheese tart Melissa loved, which I hated cooking because it stuck to everything. When she came downstairs, I told her she looked stunning, which she did. She muttered, "Thanks," like I'd said the sky was blue. But I didn't let it ruin my mood. Not that night. The dinner was going well. People were laughing, joking, eating too much. I'd just told the group about the promotion and everyone seemed genuinely happy for me. "It's about time they noticed," said Mike, lifting his glass. "You've been carrying that team for years," added Tom. Melissa smiled politely, said nothing. Still, I basked in the warmth of their support. For a moment, I felt seen. Then someone, I think it was Rachel, cracked a joke about how, after 10 years of marriage, foreplay is just someone doing the dishes. Everyone laughed. From there, it spiraled. Light-hearted talk about intimacy, awkward moments, and married bedroom dynamics. And then, Melissa leaned forward. Her voice sliced clean through the noise like a scalpel. "You want to talk presents?" she said, swirling her wine. "Even my pinky has more presents than my husband." The silence that followed was instant and violent. Forks paused mid-air. A cork popped somewhere in the kitchen, unattended. You could hear someone swallow. I blinked. Not because I didn't hear it. I heard every syllable, but my brain refused to process it. Did she just... Tom looked down into his drink like he was hoping to drown in it. Rachel gave a nervous laugh, half-hearted and confused. Melissa leaned back, smirking, took a long sip of her wine. "What?" she said with faux innocence. "We're all adults here. Can't we joke?" I looked at her. That wasn't a joke face. That wasn't tipsy banter. That was precise, deliberate, like she'd been waiting for the right audience, the right moment to strike. And she had just done it, not behind closed doors, not in an argument, but in front of 12 people who thought we were a happy couple. The laughter didn't return. "Melissa," said Sarah, voice tight. "That was... wow." "What?" she repeated, shrugging with theatrical innocence. "He's a big boy. He can take it. Right, babe?" She turned to me, still smiling. It was a challenge. I stared at her for a long moment. I wanted to say something, to fire back, to match her blow with one of my own. But something inside me shifted instead. Done trying to rationalize this kind of behavior. Done pretending these jokes were harmless. Done loving someone who thought humiliation was entertainment. When the laughter didn't come back, the energy in the room died like someone had pulled the plug. A few people tried to redirect the conversation. Mike asked about vacation plans, someone else complimented the tart, but it all felt forced. I watched her across the table, smiling to herself like she'd just won a game only she was playing. And I knew, right then and there, that whatever marriage we had left, she'd just killed it. The last 45 minutes of that dinner dragged like molasses. Conversation stuttered, laughter turned brittle. People started checking their phones, pretending they had early mornings. No one touched the dessert Melissa had insisted on baking. I watched our guests carefully, the glances, the awkward sips. No one looked at me directly for too long. I saw the shift, not just in mood, but in perception. They weren't seeing me as Melissa's husband anymore. They were seeing me as Melissa's punchline. "Well, we should get going," Rachel said finally, rising from her seat like someone escaping a hostage situation. "Yeah, us too," added Mike, almost too quickly. Chairs scraped. Coats were grabbed, hugs exchanged, the kind that felt more like apologies than farewells. I walked Tom and Sarah to the door. Tom paused, hand on my shoulder. "You all right, man?" he asked, quiet, sincere. I gave him a small nod. I didn't trust my voice. His eyes lingered for a second too long. Not pity. Worse. Recognition. Like he'd just realized how long I'd been pretending, and how long he'd been watching. When I closed the door, the house fell into a heavy, unnatural silence. I turned. Melissa was already in the kitchen, humming softly, stacking plates like nothing had happened. Humming. Like she hadn't just gutted our marriage in front of every single person we knew. "Good dinner," she said casually, rinsing a glass. Everyone seemed to have fun. I stood in the hallway staring at her back. She didn't turn around. I waited, gave her a chance to say something real, to apologize, to acknowledge the bomb she'd dropped. Nothing. "Melissa." She turned slightly, eyebrow arched, glass still in her hand. "Yes?" My voice came out low, calm, too calm. "Why did you say that?" She blinked, played innocent. "Say what?" I walked into the kitchen slowly. "You know exactly what. At the table, about your pinky." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, that? God, Daniel, it was a joke." "No," I said, still calm. "It wasn't." She leaned on the counter, arms crossed. "You're really going to make a thing out of this? In front of everyone? You know how uptight some of them are? It wasn't them you humiliated." That made her flinch, barely, but I caught it. She straightened up. "I didn't humiliate you. You're being dramatic. You made a joke about my manhood, in front of 12 people, our closest friends. I didn't say anything specific. You said more than enough." She turned back to the sink, scrubbing a plate like it had personally offended her. "Jesus, grow a thicker skin." I stepped closer. "You know what? You're absolutely right." She glanced at me again, confused. "About what?" I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "About size. Because after tonight, everyone knows exactly how small yours is." The plate in her hand slipped, clattering against the counter. Her expression hardened. "Don't be melodramatic." "Oh, I'm not. I'm being precise. And very, very clear." She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "You didn't make a joke tonight. You made a statement. You told everyone that you don't respect me, that I'm disposable, laughable." Her voice rose a little now, defensive. "You're twisting things. It was one comment." "No," I snapped, eyes locked on hers. "It was the comment, the one that broke everything I was still holding together." She stared at me. No smirk, no shrug, now just a flicker of worry. She hadn't expected this version of me, and I wasn't finished. She stared at me now, not with defiance, not yet with guilt, but with something worse. Uncertainty. For the first time that evening, she didn't know what I was going to do. She was used to a version of me that would sigh, maybe sulk, maybe retreat into myself for a day or two before acting like nothing happened. The version that kept the peace, swallowed the pain. But that man was gone. I saw her try to reset the conversation. She softened her voice, gave a little laugh. "You're overreacting. It was just a stupid joke. God, Daniel, everyone knew I didn't mean anything by it." I tilted my head. Calm. "Did they?" Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Let's find out," I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. She blinked. "What are you doing?" "Texting Tom and Sarah and Mike. Let's see if they thought it was funny when you decided to emasculate your husband in front of them." "Don't you dare." Her voice had that edge, the one that used to work. The threat beneath the sweetness. It didn't work anymore. "Or what?" I said flatly, thumbs tapping. She moved fast, lunging toward me, reaching for the phone, but I stepped back. Easily. "Daniel, stop it. You're embarrassing us both." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You humiliated me in front of our friends? And now I'm the problem because I want to know if they even noticed?" My phone buzzed almost instantly. I glanced down. Tom. Dude, that was way out of line. Sarah and I talked about it in the car. We couldn't believe she said that. I held the screen up to her face. Looks like Tom disagrees with your "it was just a joke" theory. She paled. Another buzz. Mike. Bro, that was brutal. Lisa's already texting Sarah asking if you're okay. I scrolled. Another message. Then another. Support. Real, undeniable support. Her hands dropped to her sides. You're making this bigger than it needs to be, she said. But her voice was quieter now. Shaky. No, I replied, locking eyes with her. You made it big the second you decided our marriage was worth sacrificing for one cheap laugh. She looked stunned, lost, like someone who just realized the fire had spread to the second floor, and there was no more pretending it was a candle accident. I took a breath. Calm, clear. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to pack a bag. You're going to stay at your sister's tonight, and tomorrow, you're going to start figuring out where you want to live permanently. She stared like I'd slapped her. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking? She didn't answer. You wanted to talk about size? Let's talk about the size of the consequences. You're being ridiculous, she said, arms folded tight across her chest like armor. Her voice was rising, louder, sharper, a sign that panic was bubbling just beneath the surface. But I didn't flinch. You want me to leave over one comment? She scoffed. One joke? I didn't blink. It's not one comment. She opened her mouth, but I raised my hand. Don't. My voice was steady, final. Don't insult both of us by pretending this is isolated. You've been chipping away at me for years, one joke at a time. Tonight, you just said it out loud enough for everyone else to hear what I've been living with. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. And maybe she was. Because the man who once would have apologized for making her feel bad about making him feel bad, he was gone. In the morning, she said, tone softening, shifting tactics. You'll realize this is crazy. You're just embarrassed. That's all. I took a step closer, calm as stone. The only thing I'll realize in the morning is how much lighter I feel without dead weight dragging me down. Her mouth opened, then shut. I turned, walked toward the stairs. Where are you going? To get your suitcase. Since you seem to have trouble understanding that I'm serious. When I came back down, dragging her navy blue suitcase behind me, she was sitting at the kitchen table, head in her hands. Her posture, for the first time in years, wasn't confrontational. It was defeated, small. She looked up slowly. This is insane, she whispered. You're destroying our life over one stupid comment. I placed the suitcase on the table. No, I said clearly. You destroyed our life with one stupid comment. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. I unzipped it. Pack. She didn't move. Daniel, you can't throw me out of my own house. I met her eyes. Watch me. Her face twisted, half fury, half disbelief. You want to play games about what's big and what's small? I said. Let's talk about the size of my patience, because it's officially gone. My phone buzzed again. Another message. More support. The people she thought would laugh with her were lining up behind me. She looked at the suitcase, then at me, then back again. The shock was fading, replaced with something else. Fear. The fear of someone who finally realized this wasn't a game. This wasn't a power play. This was a decision. Permanent. Irreversible. And it wasn't hers. She stood frozen for a while, staring at the open suitcase like it was a live grenade, her hands clenched and unclenched at her sides. She wasn't used to this. To me, not folding. To silence that didn't mean hesitation, but finality. I didn't speak again. I didn't need to. My posture said everything. So did the way I didn't break eye contact. So did the way I didn't blink or soften or offer a single way out. She waited for a loophole, a crack in my resolve, but there was none. For once I wasn't trying to fix anything. I was done. She turned slowly and walked past me, her steps stiff and reluctant. I watched as she climbed the stairs, not once looking back. Upstairs, I could hear the quiet creak of drawers opening, zippers dragging, the rustle of clothes being folded in angry, messy bundles. She didn't slam anything, didn't yell, didn't cry. Not this time. The house was dead quiet, except for the sound of her leaving it. I stood in the kitchen, still leaning against the table, arms crossed. My mind was calm, focused. I wasn't replaying the dinner anymore. I wasn't thinking about what I should have said or what she might be feeling. All I felt was space. Space where her noise used to be, where her commentary, her criticism, her passive-aggressive remarks used to echo like background static. And now, nothing. No voice, no movement, no resistance, just the rhythmic sound of her packing her exit. I didn't follow her. I didn't check. I didn't say anything when she finally came back down, dragging the suitcase behind her with tired, jerky movements. Her face was pale, dull, makeup smudged, hair tied back in a loose, angry knot. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. I walked to the door, unlocked it, and stepped aside. She paused for a second, looked at me, maybe hoping for a change of heart, maybe not. But I didn't move, and eventually she walked out. The suitcase thudded down each step of the porch like punctuation marks at the end of a sentence she never got to finish. She threw it into the back of her car, got in, and peeled out of the driveway like she was running from a crime scene. I watched from the doorway. The taillights disappeared down the street. And the silence she left behind? It was the most peaceful sound I'd heard in years. I went to the living room, sat down slowly, and picked up my phone. The screen was glowing. Dozens of unread messages. First from Tom, then Mike, then Sarah, then more. Every name in our dinner circle. I opened the first few. "You okay, man?" That was brutal. Lisa and I were stunned. "I can't believe she said that." "Honestly, we've noticed how she talks to you. This wasn't a one-off." Each message was another piece of the puzzle snapping into place. Except I hadn't even realized I was working on a puzzle. She'd been breaking me down in small, silent increments for years. A joke here, a dig there, smirks, eye rolls, dismissive chuckles, and I'd swallowed it. Because I thought that's what marriage was: compromise, patience, grace. But all I'd really been doing was enduring, and I was done enduring. I scrolled through more messages. "She told Lisa last month that you were underwhelming. I thought she was just venting. Now I'm not so sure. She used to joke about your lack of edge at book club. It wasn't funny. It was mean." Every word burned, but not with pain, not anymore, with clarity. This wasn't a moment of poor judgment. It was a pattern. She hadn't just humiliated me tonight. She'd been doing it for months, maybe years. I just didn't have a crowd around to confirm it until now. My phone rang. Her sister. I let it go to voicemail. Then a text came through. "She's crying her eyes out at my place. Said you threw her out over nothing." I stared at the word. Nothing. I laughed. She had nuked our marriage at a dinner table and was now spinning it as if I'd flipped out over spilled wine. The phone rang again. I declined it. Another message. "You're overreacting." She made one stupid comment. "This is your wife. You don't just give up." No, I wasn't giving up. I was finally choosing myself. And there's a difference. I stood, phone still in my hand, and walked upstairs. The bedroom was half empty. Her side of the closet looked like a pulled tooth, hollow and obvious. And yet, I wasn't sad. I was focused. I pulled out my laptop and started making a list. Joint accounts to separate, shared subscriptions to cancel locks, to change legal consultations to schedule. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted closure. By midnight, the plan was set. Tomorrow I'd visit the bank. I'd speak to a lawyer. I'd protect myself. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. No alarm, no tension in my chest, No bracing for cold silence or passive-aggressive remarks over coffee. Just calm. The kind of calm I hadn't felt in years. The bed beside me was empty, but for once, that felt like a relief, not a loss. I dressed deliberately, clean shirt, polished shoes. By 10 a.m., I was sitting in a lawyer's office. A woman in her 50s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. She listened to the story without interrupting, not even once. When I was done, she nodded slowly. "You have grounds for emotional abuse and public humiliation," she said. "And probably more, once we look into the financial records." She helped me draw up papers, a clean split, no contest. I didn't want alimony. I didn't want drama. I just wanted peace. It didn't take long for the phone to light up again. New numbers, her friends, her relatives, most repeating the same thing. "She's sorry. She didn't mean it. She's falling apart. You're taking this too far." No one asked how I was doing. No one asked how long I'd been living with a woman who chipped away at me piece by piece. Only whether I'd forgive the final blow. I didn't answer. Not one of them. The divorce was finalized in 3 weeks. She didn't fight it. Not after the lawyer made it clear her little joke, and the people who'd witnessed it, would not play well in court. She signed everything quietly, 60-40 split, in my favor. No spousal support, no appeals, just ink on paper and the sound of a door closing. I redecorated the house, nothing drastic, just mine. Removed her colors, her furniture, her passive-aggressive art that always made me feel like a guest in my own home. I played music again. I cooked badly but happily. I invited people over and didn't worry about her rolling her eyes or correcting my stories. I saw her once, about 6 months later. She was with someone new, a man with that nervous look of someone still trying to impress her. She spotted me across the cafe, hesitated, then came over. "You look good," she said softly. "Thanks," I replied. She hesitated, waiting, hoping maybe. "I've been thinking about everything," she started. "What I said, what I did. If I just handled that night differently." I looked at her, and then I smiled. Not kindly, not cruelly, just with peace. "It wouldn't have changed anything." She blinked. "Why not?" "Because you didn't just say one thing that night," I said. "You revealed who you really are, and I finally believed you." Her mouth opened slightly. She wanted to say something else, maybe apologize, maybe beg, maybe lash out, but I was already turning away. As I stepped into the sunlight, I realized something beautiful. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't even relieved anymore. I was simply free. And that, in the end, was the best thing she ever gave me, without even meaning to.